The Zephyrian High Command had made a critical error in judgment, though they wouldn't realize it until plasma fire lit up their flagship's hull 3 cycles later. Commander Vextar studied the human captive through the energy barrier of her cell, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he processed what he saw. The creature was small, barely reaching his chest, with pale skin marked by fresh bruises from her capture. Her dark hair hung in matted strands around a face that should have shown fear. Instead, her blue eyes held something that made his scales ripple with unease. "This is Earth's great weapon?" General Cortax clicked his mandibles dismissively as he joined Vextar at the observation deck. Their entire defense fleet fell to our assault cruisers in mere hours, yet they speak of this ... child as if she were some devastating force. The girl Maya Chun, according to their intelligence file, sat cross-legged on the metal floor of her cell, seemingly unbothered by the cold or the guards flanking her position. She hummed softly, a haunting melody that somehow carried through the soundproof barrier. "The human delegation was quite specific in their surrender terms," Vextar replied, consulting his datapad. "Complete capitulation in exchange for her safe return. They claimed she was irreplaceable to Earth's future." Cortax's laugh was a harsh, chittering sound. "Humans and their emotional attachments. Perhaps she's the offspring of one of their leaders. No matter, she served as an excellent example when we broadcast her execution across the remaining colonies." Neither alien noticed how Maya's humming had grown more complex, weaving harmonics that shouldn't have been possible from a single throat. The sound seemed to resonate through the ship's hull itself. In the depths of space, something ancient stirred. Maya had been Earth's most closely guarded secret for 12 years, ever since the mining accident that had killed her parents and left her in a coma for 3 months. When she'd awakened, the doctors had found modifications to her neural pathways that defied explanation. Her brain now operated on frequencies that touched the quantum foam itself. She wasn't Earth's weapon. She was Earth's translator. And she'd been calling for help since the moment the Zephyrians had dragged her aboard their vessel. The first sign of trouble came when the ship's navigation systems began reporting impossible readings. Stars were moving, not the gentle drift of stellar motion, but rapid, purposeful displacement. Entire constellations wheeled through space, as if responding to some cosmic summons. "Status report." Cortax barked as alarms began blaring throughout the command deck. "Unknown, sir," the tactical officer replied, his voice tight with barely controlled panic. "Long-range sensors are detecting massive gravitational anomalies. Objects are approaching from multiple vector size and composition unknown." Through the observation window, they watched as reality seemed to bend. Space itself rippled like water, and through those ripples came ships, if they could be called ships. They were organic in appearance, their hulls flowing like liquid metal, covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. Some were small, barely larger than the Zephyrian cruiser. Others dwarfed entire moons. Maya stood slowly, her humming now audible throughout the ship despite the cell's barriers. The sound had become something more than music. It was communication. Translation. A bridge between incomprehensible minds and the desperate need of a young human girl who had watched her world burn. "The barriers," Vextar whispered in horror as he watched energy fields throughout the ship flicker and die. "How is she?" Maya walked through the deactivated cell wall as if it were mist. Her eyes now glowed with a soft blue light, and when she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that made the ship's hull sing in response. "You hurt my world," she said simply. "You hurt my people. I asked my friends to come." The beings that emerged from the impossible ships were older than civilization, itself entities that had watched galaxies spiral into existence and fade to darkness. They were gardeners of reality, tenders of the cosmic garden, and they had little patience for species that destroyed rather than cultivated. Maya had learned their language during those 3 months in her coma, her modified brain resonating with frequencies that most minds couldn't even perceive. She'd spent years learning to translate human concepts into forms these ancient beings could understand, concepts like justice, protection, and the simple desire to grow and flourish among. The stars. The Zephyrian fleet lasted exactly 17 minutes. It wasn't destruction in any conventional sense. The ancient beings simply unmade the aggressors. Ships folded in on themselves, their matter reorganized into something more useful, rare. Minerals that they deposited in the asteroid belts around Earth's system. A gift for the young species that had produced such an interesting translator. Maya found herself standing on the bridge of the Zephyrian flagship, now empty except for her. Through the viewports, she could see Earth scarred but alive, its remaining orbital stations already beginning repair work. The largest of the ancient beings spoke to her in frequencies that bypassed sound entirely, resonating directly in her modified neural pathways. Its message was complex, layered with concepts that would take human philosophers centuries to fully grasp. But the core meaning was simple. We have been waiting for someone who could speak for your species. Would you like to learn more? Maya smiled, feeling the weight of humanity's future settling on her young shoulders. It wasn't the burden she'd expected, but rather the promise of possibility. Her people would no longer face the darkness alone. Yes, she said, her voice carrying across dimensions to minds vast and ancient. I'd like that very much. As Earth's sun set behind her, Maya Chum began humanity's first real conversation with the universe. And in that conversation, a species that had barely reached beyond its own solar system took its first steps toward becoming something magnificent. The Zephyrians had hurt the wrong girl. More importantly, they'd hurt the girl who could make the universe listen. And the universe, it turned out, was very protective of its translators.